Welcome to Bloomberg's Black in Focus. I'm Karen Toulon here for Bloomberg. We're talking about Fashion Week. Fashion Week is once again taking center stage. Now, the global apparel market is $1.5 trillion. For perspective, that's the size of the economies of places like Canada, South Korea, and even Russia. We're going to be talking with Brandice Daniel. She's the founder and CEO of Harlem's Fashion Row and the founder and host of Great Girlfriends podcast. Later, we'll talk with Yvonne Jewnell, the creative director and co-owner of Harlem Fashion Week. Harlem Fashion Row is a platform that you created about 2007, I believe, and it's bringing together fashion designers and thoughts on marketing and strategy. According to Zippia, just so we have kind of a sense of understanding, 60% of designers are white, 6% are Black, 15% are Latinx, 13% Asian, and 45% are LGBTQ. How's the COVID pandemic affected those people you speak with?
Yeah, no, thank you for giving that context, Karen. Well, the fashion industry at large has actually had, challenges when it came to specifically Black designers for decades. And so then you bring on the pandemic on top of the challenges that had already existed, and it was devastating for so many brands. At Harlem's Fashion Row, one of the things that I wanted to do very quickly was figure out how do we provide capital to these designers very quickly. So we organized a nonprofit, which is Icon 360, and we were able to give out over $1 million last year in revenue to 27 designers.
This happens at the same time that we have Black Lives Matter. According to the Council of Fashion Designers of America 2020 report that they have, based off of McKinsey data, it says that leadership is still lacking. People of color only comprise 16% of the C-suite roles, 15% of board seats, despite comprising 32% of the entry-level positions. Do you get the sense that there's real change?
One of the things that I've seen is I've seen more brands do collaborations, which is a great way to bring Black designers into your organization. It's also another great way for Black designers to look at an organization and go, oh, is this a place that I could actually see myself working? Macy's did a collaboration recently called Icons of Style. I'm actually wearing a piece from that collaboration now. And they brought on designers and stylists. And what I love about that collaboration was that it wasn't a one-off. They have now, I think they're almost getting ready to launch their third season of that. And for me, that's a win because you can see that there's longevity there. We're launching a collaboration. Harlem's Fashion Row is launching a collaboration for Banana Republic and Charles Harbison. And that's not a one-off collaboration. We're still doing projects with them. And so I think that the industry, when they're thinking about collaborations, when they're thinking about making commitments to social justice, the number one thing they have to think about is we're going to make a long-term commitment. I'm asking brands that make a commitment to make a 10-year commitment and to put very clear quantitative goals around that commitment. Our DEAR program, our Designer Entrepreneur Residence program, the goal of that is to get more Black designers into retailers. And for the designers that are currently in retailers, I really encourage them to advocate for yourself, advocate for bigger positions, for more promotions, find out what it's going to take to actually get to that director level or to get to that creative director level. And now is the time to have those conversations.
When I was looking at your website, I found something interesting. You had I think it might have actually been called careers.
We do post the jobs and we send that to our database of over 1,500, designers of color. But what we also do is we host experiences that will bring the retailers and the designers in a room together. It allows them to build a relationship, Karen. And building relationships are the core of any opportunity.
Brandice Daniel, we wish you all the best with New York Fashion Week. We're joined by Yvonne Jewnell. She's the creative director and co-owner of Harlem Fashion Week and the co-founder, along with her mother, of Yvonne Jewnell New York, an ethnically inspired clothing company. Yvonne, welcome to you.
Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you for having me today.
Well, there's so much to talk about. This is your 9th Harlem Fashion Week,
Yes,
which you started right as a showcase for Black designers, providing business education, other support for emerging talent, and also to grow the businesses in Harlem. When you're talking to the fashion professionals that you work with, are they saying that COVID-19 has been a real dramatic impact on their businesses, and in what ways?
We found ourselves being very creative with doing a virtual kind of aspect and reaching our customers in an e-commerce way that we've never had to before. I walked past so many for sale signs. I was literally shopping for Fashion Week, and it was, the buyers were saying, we don't have this brand anymore. We don't have this company hasn't done anything since seasons ago. It's really across all different price points. However, there is a silver lining into it all. There really is. And I think that's the shift of a lot of emerging brands. When these world kind of catastrophic things happen, it almost creates a resurgence of emerging brands and millennial designers and opens up the doors for newer brands to kind of emerge.
What are you really seeing on the ground? Are you seeing that interest in buying Black continuing?
I do. And it's very passionate for me, especially as a woman of color, to experience the death of George Floyd while being home isolated from my family and friends, and literally only having social media and television to be like my only real, place of solace. A lot of people were forced to understand the plight, understand what was going on, and almost have a lot more empathy, which turned into a lot of more support as far as buying Black.
Are you seeing it turning into real dollars?
From my perspective, I'd say yes. If you think about Forever 21, who's made a conscious effort, they just had a collection inspired by all, I think 5 or 6 Black designers. I think about Macy's, and Macy's did a whole kind of collection, a shoe designer. They had Nisa Hilton, who's been at our Harlem Fashion Week show before. We understand that Gucci was one of the companies who actually said, you know what, let's create a grant for Black designers.
Goldman Sachs has the 10,000 Small Businesses program, and they surveyed some of the participants, and they found that Black business owners who apply for funding have a rejection rate that is 3 times that of their peers. So I know that part of what you do with Harlem Fashion Week is provide financial education. What type of questions are designers or fashion houses, creatives coming to you with? What do they need to understand?
Oh my goodness. It's from the foundational level of thinking about, how do I start my business? How do I write a business plan? How do I apply for a grant? And who are the right people who I need to connect myself with? So it literally is on that foundational level. And we pride ourselves on definitely making sure that we're accessible to the community in that way. Because if you don't know, you're not able to compete on the level that you should be. And in many ways, we've had designers that are super talented, super innovative, who really just need those business skills, such as the foundational things like a business plan, like how to write a grant, to be able to push their brand further.
And are you working with any government agencies or any financial institutions? Do they provide support to you in the work you're doing?
Currently, we are working with a few. So Harlem Entrepreneurial Fund are very, very supportive in just the efforts of not just Harlem Fashion Week, with the other designers that we've worked with. Also, Harlem Commonwealth has also been. So again, with us being community-based, we definitely appreciate the support.
I am so delighted to have been able to spend some time with you, Yvonne Jewnell, Creative Director of Harlem Fashion Week. And that'll do it for this episode of Bloomberg Black in Focus. Next week, we're having a conversation with the Dean of Howard's Business School. So stay tuned for that. But until then, I'm Karen Toulon, and this is Bloomberg.